So welcome again, my friends. Now we continue. In this video, we're going to add the theme provider so we can switch between the light mode and also the dark mode. And also we're going to work on a component that is going to be used to toggle between the light mode and the dark mode. So to achieve this, we're going to use a package that is called Next Themes. So first of all, I'm going to open my terminal. I'm going to click add to open a new one, and I'm going to use bun add, and then to add the package that is called Next Themes like this. And when we do that, it is already done. That's why I like bun, very fast and very efficient. So now we're going to go back to our layout, and then simply we have this body right here that wraps our children. So what we're going to do, we're going to go inside this body and then simply call the theme provider from Next Theme. Theme provider from Next Theme, and we're going to wrap this around the children. So this theme provider right here takes few properties. So it takes the attributes, so we're going to use the class. So simply this, when you change like the light or dark mode, is simply go to the class name and add like the dark property, okay, or the dark class name, which applies the dark mode. I hope you understand this. It's very simple. For example, if I want to switch from light mode to dark mode, I can go to the class name, for example, of my application and add dark. And if I add this simply applies the dark mode. So when using the attributes class, this is how it works. So for the attributes right here, we're going to use class, okay? And then also we have the default theme. So you have three. You have either light or dark, and then we can get this. It doesn't detect it by certificate, but there are three. There is the light, and there is dark, and there is system. So that's what you're going to use. You're going to use system. And the reason we're going to use system, so if the user in their like operating system using light mode, they're going to get the application on light mode. But if you have it in dark mode, they're going to get the application by default on dark mode, and they can switch later to whatever they want to. And then also we're going to add the enable system. And then the last thing we're going to have is disable transition on change. And that's it. And simply this is applying the theme provider. So the next step is to add the component that is going to be used to toggle between the light mode and dark mode. But if we go back to our application right now, and as we can see right now, by default, because my system is on dark mode, it's going to be on the dark mode, okay? The application is going to turn dark mode. But if I want to actually just choose the light mode, I can just go to the default theme, and I'm going to change it to light. I go back to my application, refresh this, and it's going to be light. So this is how it's works. But we don't want to do it this way, of course. I want to create that component that will help us do all of those stuff, okay, manually. So I'm just gonna go back to my components right here. So this is the app. Let me close it. In my components right here, I'm just gonna create a new folder. I'm gonna call it shared. This is the shared. This is gonna be like all the components that are shared between all the applications that we have. So, or the pages. So for the shared components right here, I'm gonna create a new one, and this one is gonna be called the theme toggle.tsx like this, okay? And then simply what we have to do is to create the function. So I'm going to go RFC, and this is going to create the theme toggle component, okay? We don't need to actually import React directly right here. What we can do right now is create the component. So let's start. So I'm just going to go right here. I'm going to create. So I'm going to have a drop menu right here, and this simply make sure that you don't import it from Radix UI, but actually you import this from your UI, okay, folder, okay, because this one is going to be not customizable, but this one is the one that you have locally installed, and you can actually change it, okay? So if you go back here, and you can change it to change the silent to whatever you want to, and that would apply. Instead of if you did it or import it from Radix UI, it is the static one from the websites, and you're not going to be able to change it. So we have a drop menu right here, and inside this drop menu we need a trigger for it. So we're just going to go drop and then menu trigger, okay, like that. And this simply is going to be as child. We're going to give it this property, and then inside of this we're just going to have a button. So let me just add the button here. Okay, this is going to be for triggering to open the drop down. So for this button, we need to also import this from the UI. For the variant is going to be outline. So we're going to use the outline variant. Also for the size, it's going to be the icon size, which is probably width 10 and height 10. Let me just make sure. If we go to the button here, you will see in the size icon, you're going to have width 10 and height 10, okay? So that's it for this button. The last thing would be to add a class name, which is, let's make sure that is also width 10, and then the height to be 10, and make sure it is rounded to 4. Okay, so it's going to be a circle. And inside this button, we're gonna have a sun icon, okay, from Lucid icons, okay. And this is the first icon, and the second icon that we will have is gonna be the moon icon, okay. So both icons right here, and then we're gonna apply probably the same styling almost. So let me actually do one by one. So I'm just gonna go the first one, class name, and then for this one, we're just gonna go the height is gonna be 1.4 rem, and then also for the width is gonna be the same 1.4 rem. And then also it's gonna have rotate 0 and then scale 100. We're gonna keep it like that. And then also we're gonna have transition all. So I'm just gonna go to add that animation. So transition all, and then also on the dark mode, this is where it gets interesting. We're just simply gonna rotate it minus 90 degrees like this. Okay, and then also what we need to do on dark mode, we're gonna scale it to 0, okay, like that. Let me zoom out a little bit to see it. So these are the styling. Now let me zoom in back again so you can see what I'm typing. So I'm gonna copy this styling here, and I'm gonna add the class name here. So it's gonna be absolute this time, and then also add the same width and height. And then for rotation, so by default it's gonna be 90, and then scale 0. It's quite the opposite of the other one. So it's gonna be transition all. So transition like this all, and then simply now when we go to dark mode, we're gonna just do the opposite. So for rotate, we're gonna make it 0, and then also on dark mode, we're gonna scale it to 100%, okay, like that. And then also gonna have a span. This is probably not gonna be shown here, so we're just gonna go SR only. So like this, and then simply we're gonna have toggle theme, okay, as a text. That's it. So this is for the trigger. Okay, this one is for trigger. Now we need the contents of the drop down. This is just the button that you use to open the drop down menu, but we need that drop down content inside it. Okay, so now we're just simply gonna go to the drop down and create a component drop down, and then it's called the menu content. If I get it, this one, make sure you get it from UI as usual. Okay, and then we can add an align to it property, which is gonna be end like this. And then inside of this contents one, I'm just gonna have 3 options. For this one is gonna be drop menu items. So drop menu item, okay, this one from UI also, we're gonna have 3. So 1, 2, and then 3. So for this one is gonna be for the light mode, and then the second one is gonna be for dark mode, and then the last one is gonna be for system, to whatever you have on your operating system. So now we need like the functionality that when we click one of them, it applies that. So first of all, let me just show you how it looks. So I'm just gonna go back to my page and just simply have it like right here. So I'm just gonna have like width 100, width 100, and then let's have flex, and then flex and, or simply let's just have justify and like this. And inside of it, let me call the theme toggle, and then simply close that. Let me go back now to my application. So let's see what we have. What's the problem? Okay, I understand the problem. When you get a similar option like this with the webpack and increase context, it means that your component needs to be on the client side. And the reason for that is because our application needs to actually talk to the browser when there is a functionality like that. It has to have access to that. So it can be on the server, it needs to be on the client side. So for our components right here, we're just gonna go to the top here and just simply add the use client here, and that will fix it. And while we are here, let's actually add some let me just go right here and let me add some comments. Okay, so for this one's simply okay, we made a mistake right here. This also should be from the UI. I made the mistake that I told you to avoid. So right here we have to add some comments. So let's go call this custom UI, and then custom UI components, or UI components directly. They're not custom, they're just simply the UI components we have. And then for this one, let's go and add icons, okay, like this. And now if I go back to my application, let me see, you will see the toggle right here on the right side. So let me add a bit of padding on the home page. Of course, you're not gonna have it this way. This is just simply to show you how it works. So let me just add like a padding of 5 here. Go back to the application and you can see it right here. So now what happens, if I click on it right now, I get the 3 options that I talked about, light, dark, and system. So if I switch to the dark, nothing is gonna happen. And the reason for that is because we didn't add the functionality. So to add the functionality, you have to actually go back to your theme toggle, and let me call the function so const, and this function is going to be called set theme. Okay, so set theme, and this is coming from Next theme. Okay, so we're gonna call the use theme from Next themes, and it's gonna do everything for us. So the set theme right now, I can just go simply to every single one here and add the on click event. So when I click any of these ones, I'm just gonna call the set theme function, and it takes whatever property you pass it. Okay, so for this first one right here is gonna be light, like this, so light. And then for the second one is gonna be dark, and then the last one is gonna be system. Okay, so now we have added the functionality. So if I go back to my application right now and I click on dark, it's gonna switch to dark. If I click on light, it's gonna switch to light. Okay, so dark, and now I am in dark mode, I need to switch to light, and I do that. Okay, so I am in light mode, now I am in the dark mode. So that's quite cool. So yeah, for these icons right here, you are not like obligated to use these ones. Okay, I might even myself change them later while we work on the course. So this is how it looks normally, but I am zoomed in so you can see it. Okay, so that's why it looks a little bit off, but this is very optional for you. So you can just simply go back, and instead of these two icons that we have right here, just simply change them to whatever icon you want. Okay, just make sure that the one that you want to see, that you want to scale to 100, are the one that you want to see when you are on that mode. So if I am in the dark mode, I want to, for example, show this. So I gotta make sure that in dark mode, I scale it to 100. And if I don't want it to be, I don't want to see it in light mode, I have to make it scale to 0 normally in light mode. This is how you do it. It's very customizable for you, okay? So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something nice about using theme provider and also a theme toggle in your application. One thing that I have to do in the layout, in the import, I'm just gonna go right here and add the theme provider comment here. I'm trying to make this course very easy to understand by everyone. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, and that's it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one as usual.